Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. Today we have the second lesson in this semester with our book Mega Goal 6. In the previous lesson, we have talked about the introduction. We have an introductory lesson to this book Mega Goal 6, and today also we will continue on these introductory lessons by talking about the second part in our introductory lessons. But let's talk about our previous lesson. In the previous lesson, we talked about listen and discuss. And we said that in every listening and discussing class, we will have some article or some conversations to comment on, to discuss and talk about, to choose some opinions or ideas regarding these issues. And today, in the introductory listen and discuss, we have some issues here. We talked about human behavior, clever business decision, an accidental discovery, and a breakthrough in space exploration. These four categories, or these four words or sentences, are going to be discussed furthermore in the following units. So we have listened to some of stories that can be considered or can be categorized under these four sentences. We started with the first one, rocking chairs where, and we are going to listen to rocking chairs one more time.
Intro Unit, pages 2 and 3. 1. Listen and discuss.
Rocking chairs where? Usually people expect to see them on front porches, living rooms, bedrooms, cozy places where one is likely to have the time to relax. One of the last places where you'd expect to see rocking chairs is a busy airport, right? Wrong. Rocking chairs have caught on as a special touch in about 40 airports in the U.S. The trend started in 1997 at an international airport that was hosting a photography exhibit called Porch Sitting. There were photos of porches with rocking chairs, with actual rocking chairs placed in front of the photos as props. When the exhibit was over and the rocking chairs were being removed, people started protesting. So the airport manager was quick to respond. He kept the chairs and ordered more. From then on, rocking chairs spread as a trend to more airports.
Okay, now we've listened to the first story, which is rocking chairs where. To which category do you think this story belongs to? To human behavior, an accidental discovery, a breakthrough in space exploration, or to the last one, a clever business decision? Yes, you've guessed it. Yes, it belongs to a clever business decision. Now let's go to the second one. Is Europa similar to Earth?
Is Europa similar to Earth? A reprocessed high-resolution photo of Jupiter's moon, Europa, was released in 2014, showing the largest proportion of the satellite's surface. Scientists claim that there is water underneath Europa's icy shell that could host life under the right conditions. This has provided an additional incentive to push forward with the exploration of this amazingly colorful moon. A new study also suggests that there are big plates of ice sliding over and under each other within Europa's shell. This effectively means that the Earth is not the only solar system body that possesses plate tectonics, as was formerly believed.
Okay,
Did you know?
I think this one is easily to be distinguished or can be easily categorized. It's absolutely going to be under a breakthrough in space exploration. Number 3, did you know that?
Safety glass, which is widely used in windshields, safety goggles, and more, was invented by accident over a century ago. In the early 1900s, a French scientist accidentally knocked a glass flask off his desk. The flask fell to the floor, but only cracked instead of shattering into pieces. Having inspected the broken flask, he realized that it had contained plastic cellulose nitrate, which had coated the glass and prevented it from shattering upon impact. And did you...
Okay, this one belongs to an accidental discovery. Let's listen to another. Did you know that?
And did you know that? The first synthetic dye was accidentally created in 1856 by William Perkin, an 18-year-old chemist. He was carrying out an experiment in search of a cure for malaria when it all went very wrong, resulting in a murky mess in the petri dish. Upon closer examination, William noticed a brilliant color radiating from the petri dish. It was the beginning of synthetic dyes that would change the world of fashion and manufacturing forever.
Okay, I think this one is one of the easiest, so it can be easily put under the category an accidental discovery. And we have here the last one. Would you gossip about a friend?
Would you gossip about a friend? Gossip and rumors can destroy a young person's self-confidence and affect their self-esteem. It can also lead to serious conditions such as depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. Betraying the trust of a friend by talking behind their back reflects very badly on the person gossiping. People instantly assume that if one is capable of gossiping about a friend, then he or she is capable of doing it about anyone and keep their distance. Talking about a friend with negative intent does not make one stand out or help him or her become more popular. It is the surest way of isolating oneself and gradually losing one's friends altogether.
Okay, would you gossip about a friend is absolutely a human behavior. After that, we have our lesson today. It is conversation. As we have talked before about the word conversation, we said that conversation means that two people or more are talking to each other, discussing things, sharing ideas, and so on. In this conversation, we will listen and practice reading part 1 of the conversation. So we are going to listen to the part 1, and after that, we will underline examples of deductions about the past and the present. And now let's talk about the word deduction. Here he says, underline examples of deductions about the present or the past and the present. What is the meaning of the word deductions? Deductions means when you talk about something and you guess the meaning or you take the results that is or that might be implied in the sentence. When you hear something, you can deduct the result of what you have just heard. So when you hear something, you can guess the result. This process called deduction. And today we are going to talk about the deduction. Firstly, we will listen to a conversation between Adnan and Omar. These underlined sentences are deductions. Like here, this one is a deduction. Okay? This one is a deduction, and also this one. These are deducted sentences. Now, I want you to listen to this conversation. This is the part 1. So you can understand the way the deduction work, and you can do it by your own in part 2.
Page 4. 3. Conversation. Listen and practice reading part 1 of the conversation in pairs. Then underline examples of deductions about the past and the present.
Hey, listen to this. It's about a man who survived a plane crash.
There can't be too many people who've lived to talk about a crash.
No, probably not. Apparently, the plane had crashed and burst into flames about 2 to 4 kilometers from the end of the runway. According to this article, 3 passengers survived the impact, but 2 of them died in hospital a few hours later.
He must have been the only survivor then.
Correct. He was thrown off the plane, strapped to his seat, and landed upright on the street.
You must be kidding. He can't have landed upright on the street. Do you believe it?
That's what the article says. Here's a picture of the man now. He was only 17 when it happened. It happened in January 1985. You can look it up.
I'll do that. Is there more?
Okay, so Adnan was talking about a plane crash, and he said that a man who survived a plane crash. And we know that, unfortunately, people mostly die in plane crashes. So when he said that it's about a man who survived a plane crash, Omar was a little bit shocked and confused because he said that there can't be too many people who have lived to talk about a crash. He deducted from his background that people die in the plane crashes. So he said that there can't be too many people who have lived to talk about a crash. Okay? After that, when Adnan talked and said that there are 3 people who survived and 2 of them died in a hospital, what did Omar say? Omar said he must have been the only survivor. This is another deduction because he knew that most people die and 2 of the 3 survivors have died in the hospital, so that person must be the only survivor. After that, we are going to listen to the second part of the conversation. Now we have another conversation between Adnan and Omar. They are going to talk about something, and I want you this time to fill the blanks by your own. Listen carefully to the conversation and try to fill the gaps by your own. We will listen to this conversation twice so you can pick the answers correctly, and after that we will talk and listen in the third time with the slide that has the answers on. Now we will go ahead and listen for the first time to this conversation.
Here's another story of a man who beat the odds.
Not another plane crash.
No, this happened in Sweden. The man was trapped inside his car for 2 months.
2 months? Why didn't he try to get out?
He couldn't. His car was snowed over. He must have got snowed in on his way to the next town.
He can't have stayed alive for 2 months in the cold. What did he eat?
According to the interview, he ate snow and whatever snacks he had.
But that can't have been enough for 2 months. He must have been confused. It must have been less than 2 months.
Yes, well, the rescuers felt the same way. They couldn't believe he'd been there that long, but scientists confirmed that he must have gone into hibernation. They also said that an igloo effect must have been created by the insulation of the car, so he was able to survive.
Okay, we will listen one more time.
Here's another story of a man who beat the odds.
Not another plane crash.
No, this happened in Sweden. The man was trapped inside his car for 2 months.
2 months? Why didn't he try to get out?
He couldn't. His car was snowed over. He must have got snowed in on his way to the next town.
He can't have stayed alive for 2 months in the cold. What did he eat?
According to the interview, he ate snow and whatever snacks he had.
But that can't have been enough for 2 months. He must have been confused. It must have been less than 2 months.
Yes, well, the rescuers felt the same way. They couldn't believe he'd been there that long, but scientists confirmed that he must have gone into hibernation. They also said that an igloo effect must have been created by the insulation of the car, so he was able to survive.
Okay, now we have listened to Adnan and Omar talking about the story of a man who have been snowed in his car. Adnan was telling the story and Omar is deducing some parts of the story. For example, he said he can't stay alive for 2 months in the cold. What did he eat? And he was also deducing other things that haven't been discovered yet. So he is having his own deductions. Now in this slide, we have the gaps filled with the correct answer, and we will listen for the third time so you can get the correct answer.
Here's another story of a man who beat the odds.
Not another plane crash.
No, this happened in Sweden. The man was trapped inside his car for 2 months.
2 months? Why didn't he try to get out?
He couldn't. His car was snowed over. He must have got snowed in on his way to the next town.
He can't have stayed alive for 2 months in the cold. What did he eat?
According to the interview, he ate snow and whatever snacks he had.
But that can't have been enough for 2 months. He must have been confused. It must have been less than 2 months.
Yes, well, the rescuers felt the same way. They couldn't believe he'd been there that long, but scientists confirmed that he must have gone into hibernation. They also said that an igloo effect must have been created by the insulation of the car, so he was able to survive.
Okay, now we have here the word hibernation. Maybe you are running into this word for the first time. Do you know the status when the animals go in their homes or inside their homes for the whole winter? They take their own food, they take everything they need, and they stay home for the rest of the winter, for the whole winter. This is called hibernation. So the scientists said that he might have gone into hibernation. The word here, they said also that an igloo effect. The word igloo refers to the snow houses. If you have seen or if you have heard about the snow houses, they are called igloos. This is the last part of our lesson today. Thank you all for attending and listening to this lesson, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Assalamu alaikum.